Hi, welcome back. This is Christy with Guidepost to Wellness. For any new viewers out here, on this channel we talk about anything and everything that can do with wellness, specifically around the pillars of wellness, which I call relaxation, rest, movement, and nourishment. And today I want to talk a little bit about the nourishment part and talk about the benefits of seasonal eating. I love going to the farmer's market. I just went to the farmer's market, as a matter of fact, before filming these videos, and I got some fresh peaches, blueberries, and a watermelon. And Tuesday I went to the farmer's market as well, and I've got fresh green beans and squash. So when I'm filming this, it's summertime, so there's a lot of different veggies and things out there and fruits that are summertime fare. And one of the things about the seasonal eating is I've found myself craving certain foods at different times of year, and maybe you find that as well, that when it's colder and maybe dreary and things like that, that you crave some heartier foods with maybe some potatoes and sweet potatoes and stews and soups. And then maybe once springtime rolls around, that's when you are more in for the salads and cucumbers. I mean, I'll just reach into the refrigerator and grab a cucumber and sprinkle a little pink salt on it and just munch away. So we actually are programmed to be very seasonal from a sleep perspective, and today I want to talk about the food perspective. So the key thing is there's a lot of different reasons for eating seasonally. There are health benefits, and then there's benefits for you economically and also for the planet as a whole. So the thing is we are creatures of habit, both daily and seasonal. We have rhythms. And believe it or not, the daily circadian rhythms that we have are actually go seasonally as well. I know I find myself when the days get shorter that I'm ready to go to bed earlier and earlier because of the change in the light. And that's actually very natural. And I mentioned in an article about sleep deprivation that the design of the electric light was just very bad for us as humans when it comes to sleep and following those daily rhythms. But when it comes to seasonal rhythms, believe it or not, our bodies change. Our neurochemicals and our microbiome in our gut actually change with the seasons. And the foods that we crave are actually the foods that our bodies are designed at that time to process well. We have microbes that are actually in the air and the soil, and in most places around the world, those change. And the studies show that our microbiome, the digestive enzymes and bacteria, or well, actually probably the bacteria that make the enzymes, in our guts change as well. And that's why we crave certain foods, and that's why we feel better when we eat certain foods and we digest them better. So everything starts in the gut with the foods that we eat, and then it goes to our brains. So the brains initiate the production of the enzymes and hormones and neurotransmitters, and those are all related to daylight, and then those make the different microbes in the gut flourish, different ones that line up with the types of foods. We are better equipped to digest leafy greens and roughage and cucumbers and things like that with a lot of fiber during certain times of the year. We're better served to digest more starchy tubers and squashes and heavier types of vegetables and things like that during other parts of the year. So that's why when we eat seasonally, it's more in line with what our body needs. When we're getting vitamin D from the sun exposure, then we're not going to crave as many foods that are going to be higher in vitamin D or the enzymes and co-nutrients that make the vitamin D. So when we start to listen to our body and take advantage of eating seasonally, then we're helping our bodies and we're helping everything else that goes along with it, the hormone balance, the neurochemical and mental and emotional states as well. So when we eat seasonally, it's good for our body to help digest those things, but it's also good for the pocketbook. And if you are eating foods that are in season, whether you go to a farmer's market or you go to the grocery store, you're going to find that the prices are more economical when foods are in season. And yes, we do ship foods all over the place. About 80% of the cost of the food that is in a grocery store produce section actually comes from the transportation aspects of it, and keeping it and everything like that. So it's really important to recognize that. So if you can eat foods that are seasonal, I'll use asparagus. Maybe not everybody likes asparagus, but I do. But asparagus has a very short growing season. But when it's in season, it's going to be abundant, and you can get it for a very, very reasonable price. And I'm talking like maybe on sale for 99 cents a pound, where if you go into the store now to get asparagus, it's coming from who knows where, someplace else with a lot of transportation costs, and it's going to be $3 a pound. Red Bing cherries, that's another one. They have a very small growing season where they're really, really abundant, and you can get the prices. I bought pounds and pounds of them when they were like 89 cents a pound. Well, now about a month later, they're like $3.89 a pound. So economically, it makes sense for you as a consumer to look at what is growing seasonally and buy local grown, which has less transportation costs in it as well. The other thing with that is the foods that are grown more locally and more abundant and more seasonal also are much, much higher in nutrition because they are picked closer to peak ripeness. And when you get them, they're closer to peak ripeness. So for example, the peaches that I just bought were picked within 50 miles of here. So they could be picked. They're right at the peak of ripeness. I can smell them actually right now while I'm making the video. They just smell so good. And if I'm eating peaches now when they're in season, they're going to be more filled with nutrients, beta carotene because of that beautiful orange color, vitamin C, all those types of things, versus a peach in, say, January that's going to be grown probably somewhere further south, maybe in Central or South America, and shipped to us. Because it's so fragile, they're going to pick it when it's almost green, and it's going to ripen in the truck if it ripens at all. I mean, I remember picking strawberries out of season up at the grocery store, and I'm one of those weird sniffers. I smell food in the grocery store produce section because that tells me if it's really ripe. And I remember picking up a thing of strawberries from California out of season, and they didn't even smell like strawberries. And I mean, they were in an open, container with a little holes so it could breathe and stuff like that, but it didn't smell like a strawberry because they were picked when they weren't even ripe. So that's another factor, is the nutrition value. And then, if you're interested in the environmental impacts, it costs less, and you're not transporting goods and using biodiesels and all those types of things as well. So that's another factor, environmental factor of the transportation costs. And also small farms versus large farms, and taking care of the soil and having those nutrients and things that are in the soil too. So it's a really good thing to think about for your budget, your plan, your body, to think about eating seasonally. And there is the seasonalfoodguide.org. I will put the link for that down below, where you can find local farmers markets in your area. Many of them are open during the week or have evening hours, and definitely on the weekends. Most large farmers markets are just full swing in the summertime, but many of them still are available in the wintertime. But you can figure out and find what is in season when, and you can kind of tailor some of your needs. And if you are interested in doing any preservation, like freezing some green beans or something of that nature, corn's in season for a while, we're going to be freezing some corn soon, then you can look at that and you can plan for that as well. So think about what's growing, thinking about what you're craving, what's something that you really only want to eat a few times a year because they're just so good. Maybe some childhood memories of picking apples or picking cherries or something like that. Then, go with that. Go with your body's needs, because it's telling you what they need based on the season and what's good for you right now. And that's what we want to do, is make our bodies as healthy as possible. So think about it. I'd love to hear your comments below about seasonal eating, things that you crave certain different times a year or something like that. Love to see your comments below. Take care and be well.